Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Johnny Davis Live. We're here on this April 11th, 2025. Got a great show planned for you today. We're going to be speaking to the one and the only Mr. Chad Mueller. He's the CEO of Stand Up Fights over in St. Louis or St. Charles, Missouri. He's been doing a great job over there. Certainly got a lot to talk with him about. Hope to have one of his prize fighters on as well, Mr. Trey Lewis, who's been on a knockout fury here lately and all, but he has a big challenge coming up on May 3rd there at a big card Mr. Mueller is planning. A couple of pieces of information that we have before we bring up Mr. Mueller. He will we'll have our IKF World Classic that's coming up in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's going to be a great show again, as it was on last year. We hope you guys are planning to attend that event. It's going to be at the Westgate Casino, July 18th through the 20th. You can get registered now, ikffightplatform.com. We have about five divisions. We have international rules. We have unified rules. We have modified Muay Thai. We have full rule Muay Thai. That's with elbows. And we have freestyle kickboxing as well, where you can actually throw, right? And Mr. Trey Lewis actually has done one of those already. Maybe we'll get a chance to chat with him about that a little bit later. But the IKF World Class is going to be coming up in July. Registration is going on right now. We want you to get in. We want you to come to the fight capital of the world and check out this exciting event that we have planned for you, along with Mr. Steve Fossum in his honor. His wife, CEO Miss Tony Fossum, and myself will be putting that event on. And we hope that you will travel from afar to come to that event, because we do try to make it a nice fight weekend with lights, camera, music, food. It's a little bit different kind of a tournament, but it is the World Classic. The belts are always beautiful there. So we hope that you guys will plan to come to the IKF World Classic. Also, want to remind you that we are now putting together our Fall Classic that's going to be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That is going to be at the Sheridan Hotel on October 3rd and 4th. Most of the fights will be on the 4th. We have the full contact. We have all the rule styles I just said there. We have our PKB there as well, semi-contact, point boxing, PBSC, point boxing sparring will also be at that event at the Sheridan Hotel. Hope you guys are planning. Put it on your calendar. We'll start registrations not sooner rather than late. Well, not too soon, but in the not so distant future, we'll start registration so you guys can go ahead and get registered and come out to the IKF Fall Classic. We've been doing that tournament over this way for quite a long time, and it's a pretty popular event. Also coming up at the IKF World Classic, I need to go back for a moment. Should have had those together. We're going to have the PKB PMT there. It's going to be on Friday night. Friday night. So be sure to mark your calendars for that. It's going to be a good event as opposed to being on Saturday. Sometimes that's in contradiction to the full contact event. The semi contact event is going to be on that Friday at the World Classic at the Westgate. Hope you guys will join in on that event as well. Registration is going on now at the PMTWest.org website. Great reason to come, guys. Great reason to come out and check out that event. All right, guys, without any further ado, we're going to bring up a man who has been really working hard. He's been over there doing his thing in St. Louis, Missouri. Let's give it up for the one and the only Chad Mueller. How you doing,
Oh,
sir?
thank you. I'm great. I always love the fight announcer entrances.
Well, Chad, you know me, man. I always got to add that energy, to it because, fighting is exciting, right? It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that, we need to always, when we approach it, we need to approach it with the utmost energy and all, because I think it's kind of a good thing to do that. I want to chat with you a little bit. It's been a minute. You and I, we talk, all the time, different times, but we haven't been on air talking for a moment because you have been really, really busy, right? And first, I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud of all the things that you've accomplished and everything. But first, let's talk about the big news that happened to you since I've spoken to you last. A couple of them, actually, that you've gotten married and you have a son now. Tell me about those dynamics of being a husband and a father and also running a couple of businesses.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. You know, right now our baby boy, he's 10 months old, and actually right now both him and my wife are sick.
Oh,
So 3 weeks out from the fights, so it's really testing my metal right now, and
right.
it's amazing. He's so fun. He's starting to see his personality come out, and it's
What?
just
Tell me, what has he taught you about yourself?
um I won't say he's taught me anything yet. We talked about fighting. There's so many correlations fighting has over to life. If you can handle adversity in the ring and training, you're gonna be able to handle adversity in life. You know, and I tell parents that all the time. About combat sports. If you
Right,
cannot control your emotions in the ring or when you're training, what are you going to do in life when things get hard? If you get angry
right,
at your wife and you say something stupid because you can't control your emotions,
right,
that's not going to help you. Same thing in a fight. If you get angry during your fight, you start trying to go too hard or trying too hard for the knockout and you gas
right.
yourself out or you leave yourself open. So there's a part of being the composure of being a real martial artist. And I think that's what a lot of martial artists nowadays lack is that skill.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment because sometimes, let's say when Little Rich, that's the kid's name, by the way,
Yep.
won't stop crying. Do you have to call on some of those skills to kind of comfort yourself a little bit?
A little bit, you just got to remind yourself, hey, this is a small moment of time, and I know one day I'm gonna miss him being a little baby and be able to hold him all the time. So,
Let me just tell you something. That, what you said right there, is absolutely the truth. I
yep,
remember when I had my son, that I used to carry my son all the time. People like, and now you know my son. If you see my son, he's bigger than I
yeah,
am. He's a giant, right? But I used to carry him all the time. I mean, even when he could, obviously, he could walk and everything. But I was, and I used to always say exactly what you just said. I said, there's going to be a day when I'm not going to carry, and he's not going to even want me to carry him, right? And so as a dad, I cherish those times, and I think that's kind of created. Even though as a teenager, he and I had our differences, but now he come back and we're just as close as anything, and I'm just so glad that we had that nurturing time, together. So I will give you the advice on enjoy this time, all right? Because it is great. It
yep.
is a great time. When it comes to marriage, though, there are challenges in marriage, especially when you're trying to run a business, right? And sometimes, you have to focus on the business. Like you just said, they're sick right now. You're here talking to me, right?
Yeah.
How would you tell or give advice to other, people in your situation who might be trying to navigate business and a marriage?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to have open communication with each other of what you expect out of each other and what's realistic, what you can do, what you can't do. I'm blessed where I don't really have to go to work during the day, so I can help her watch him during the day, and then
Mm,
at night when I go to the gym, she has him during that time. But I try to help out as much as I can, and
right.
sometimes it is tough. Sometimes I do want to work more, but it is what it is.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I think it's definitely a real thing. Have you found that protective instinct come up a little bit higher in your spirit when it comes to looking out for your family and your son? I mean, is there like when you're out and about, right? Do your antennas are your
Oh,
antennas a little bit higher than when maybe you're by yourself?
yeah, but I always have that. I remember that first time that really kind of came out. I was playing hockey, and my brother was on my team, and some dude cross checked him, and I
Uh,
literally about ripped his head off. So I kind of always have that. I always, I'm always on my p's and q's. If I'm walking in the building, where's the exits? Hey, does this guy look sketchy? Why does he keep grabbing his waist? Little things like that.
oh yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
always
yeah.
kind of like that. I
I
don't know
think that's the
why, but
martial arts in us.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the martial arts centers that we kind of think. I know my instincts are on really high. Every time I'm out with the family, my instincts are extra high and all. And I just think,
Yep.
nah, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. You've made some important decisions over time. If I were to ask you, what would you say would be the top three decisions that you've made in your life and in your career?
My top three. Let's see. Well, one, I'll kind of put them together.
You probably
I,
talked about two of them already.
yeah. So definitely, my wife and having our baby Ridge, we tried for 2 years to have him and had a lot of difficulties with that. We even had a miscarriage,
Oh,
and came back and was still able to have him, which we were so grateful for. So definitely those
right.
two. I think another one, probably taking the leap to go to Thailand by myself. That
Mm,
trip alone changed my life so much in
mm.
so many different ways. If I wouldn't have gone there and done that, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I probably wouldn't even know you, honestly.
Right, right, right.
So there's that. And then, you know, messaging you about the point tournaments. That's probably another one, because that's how
Well,
this all got
I'm in there.
started.
I wasn't trying to dig for me in there, but that's okay. I'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean, honestly, like that's, without that, you know, I would just be wanting to still be a promoter. I never would have
Right. Looking
been
at the
able
next
to really
level.
dive into it the way I have.
Right, right. Well,
Yeah.
I think about one of those decisions because you and I had some, we've had a lot of conversations. And at one time in your life, you were thinking about fighting again after you had already retired. And this was maybe 4 years ago or something. You had in your mind and your heart about fighting again. And I was talking about maybe finding something else to douse that burn to fight again, and kind of gave you my story as well. Where are you now with that, especially with your family and
Mm.
your successful businesses?
Yeah, I still want to do one more out in Thailand. Yeah.
There's
Still
still a
want to.
burn. It's still there.
I was actually talking to my wife the other day. Yeah, of course. And I was talking to my wife the other day. One of my goals is I want to open up a gym in Thailand.
Oh,
So I've got to go. So to own something in Thailand, especially land, you have to have a business partner that's Thai. So they have to actually
oh,
own 51% of the land. So I have some Thai friends that are out there that I trust, and I think realistically, I would love to open up a gym out there and move out there for the summers and so who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
okay. Listen. It is what it is. But as you know my story, you know how I tell you that sometimes. Now,
Yeah,
listen, Daniel Hodges. Daniel Hodges, by the way, you know
yeah.
Daniel. Ryan's brother, and he just fought in Thailand. He fought last weekend. He's about 37 now.
Well, he fought in
And he
Burma.
still has his burn. Huh?
I think he fought in Burma.
Yeah, he fought
He
in
fought
Burma, and
in Myanmar, which is like
he
in
fought with
civil
the
war right now.
huh? They're in war,
So they're in
and I
civil
think they have
war
an
over there right
earthquake or
now.
something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, he just
yeah,
fought
yeah.
over there, and he fought. In, I can't think of the name. What do they call the style with the ropes?
Card chook.
Yeah, whatever they call it, right? They can headbutt and do all those kind of things, and he just fought that
Oh,
and
so he
won,
did
knocked the
left
guy
way.
out.
He did left way.
Lethway, that's what
Yeah.
Lethway. Thank you. That's what I was trying to call it. Right? Yeah, he did that, and he knocked the guy out. With like a flying knee and a headbutt. Is that like crazy? I think there is a time. I think there is a time to do it. If you want to do it, that's fine. But I also think there's a time not to. Chad, there's a time not to. I just want to say that. You're very successful in what you're doing, but hey, it is what it is. Is again, you've come a long way. You've done a lot of things so far. So I want to go back a little bit. You said you made a phone call to me. Let's kind of take people through that really quick about how that transpired and how we began to grow the PKB concept in Missouri area and what it's done for your gym and the community.
Yeah, so I remember I was at one of the IKF East Classics, and I was looking for the venue, and I walked into one ballroom, and there was all these people in this room, and they were fighting, and I was like, "This ain't a warm up room. What the hell's going on?" And this was when
Right.
you did it. You didn't even have mats down, Johnny. This was on the carpet,
No.
and
Yeah.
I was like, "What is going on in here?" And so I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is the PKV." I was like, "Okay, I've never heard of that." And then it just kind of stewed. And then after that tournament, I was sitting at home, and I think that was October, and I think like the next month I emailed you because I found you on Facebook and emailed you like, hey, how can we bring this to St. Louis? And you were like, oh, yeah, I would love to make you a promoter. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa,
Right,
what? I didn't expect me to
right,
be involved. Like, I thought it was something you did. And I was
right,
like,
right,
okay,
right.
cool. So because I've always, yeah. And I've always wanted to be a promoter before. I just didn't know where to start. It's almost procrastination by analyzation or whatever they call it. Um, I just didn't know where to
Premonition or
start. And
whatever.
then you were able to lead me, take me by the hand, and teach me the ways, and to the point where I was starting to do my own full contact tournaments, and we've grown and grown and grown.
Right, and think about the community. I want you to tell me about what positive change would you say that bringing the PKB there, and now you've been one of the top promoters in the state. What do you think that? Think about the connection and how important that was. How would you grade that? How would you what level would you put that on the effect of the PKB?
Oh, it's massive. I always tell people, as a gym owner, you get the opportunity to have people compete who might not compete in the ring, right? So it gives them something to train for. So what's that going to do for me as a gym owner? It's going to get people to stay longer. They're going to become more obsessed. They have something to train for. They can compete. They can still feel like part of the team, and they don't have to go in there and really fight full contact. And of course, you can still get hurt in a point tournament. You're still
Oh,
punching and
sure,
kicking at each other,
sure,
but the chance goes down dramatically.
right,
And then
tremendously, yeah,
for the other fighters that do want to compete, they're able to get in there and learn lessons the easy way, an easier way, not the easy way, but an easier
right.
way than getting in the ring and finding out a really, really hard lesson. And it's just making them better fighters. It's making them more entertaining. And me as a promoter, I have a bigger talent pool because I'm meeting all these other gyms and
Right.
making connections, and yeah, so it's just overall, it's just a win-win for every single person that does it. And
As a
then
trainer, though, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, then you have people that it's not for. It's not going to be for
Right.
everyone. If your gym,
Exactly.
you don't know how to control your striking, it's not going to be for you, and that's okay.
Right.
Those gyms, they might win a couple fights, but once you start getting to higher levels where you have to start analyzing and being technical and be able to control shots and things like that, that style's not going to work anymore. And the people that's been sharpening that tool in the point tournaments, that's where that really shines eventually.
How do you know what is your sign and what is your signal for when someone is ready to transition into full contact? What is there some kind of uh, uh,
Like
um,
my fighters personally, whenever I can spar them and I actually have to try, I'm like,
really?
okay, he's ready. Yeah,
Okay,
he's ready.
okay.
Yep, yep,
That's an interesting gauge. I didn't
yep,
expect. I didn't expect
yep,
that. I never expect.
yep.
So you still spawn with your students. That's
Oh yeah,
interesting as
yep,
well.
yeah, yep.
Well,
So I'll spar with
that
them. I'm
should
like,
be
all right, this
satisfying that
guy.
burn.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you ever worry about them hurting you or you hurting them?
No, 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 not at all. No, my gym, we're really good about control. Being able to control your power. Like if we're sparring, um, I'm pulling my head shots. Go harder to the legs, to the body. But a
Sure.
lot of times it's just good technique, timing. Timing's going to beat power. Timing's going to beat speed. Working on that. If you get a sweep, you don't have to sweep them in the next week. Go through the
Right.
motions. So
Right.
we really do a really good job of protecting our fighters and protecting your teammates.
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, you got a big show, big show. You've
Yep.
let's go back for just a moment before we go to your May 3rd show, though, because I got a couple of posters that I'm going to ask you about specific fighters. You might
Yeah.
have some you want to talk about more specifically. But in how many shows is this for you now?
This is number 8, not counting tournaments I've helped you with.
Well, okay, of course, of course, of
Yep.
course, and you do a great job too with those. So from your first show, which sold out, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
sold out to now. What do you think the biggest difference is from then and now?
You know, the biggest difference is we're building fighters up, and like people are starting to really know these people.
Hmm.
And it's cool to see like fans be like, hey, is big country fighting on this show. I love watching him, or is Ty Prackett on this one, or
Right.
you start to see them starting to develop a fan base. So really, that's like the biggest difference. Everything else, the production's still amazing. We've always had great production. The show
Always.
always runs super
Fantastic.
smooth.
Right.
But yeah, that's the biggest difference is just seeing these fighters get built up, and the community here in St. Louis loves these shows because they know they're going to get a good matched show. You go to some shows sometimes, not just here in St. Louis, but everywhere. You get a lot of bad matchups, and
Yeah.
I don't do that at all.
Right.
I take a lot of pride.
There's something about you is that hopefully you bought into my philosophy that we match fighters to beat each other, not one to beat the other.
Yep.
And that philosophy has changed the game. And hopefully, with the people that I deal with directly, you don't go match a fight who you know is going to be an easy fight for the person. What kind of entertainment is that, right? You should be matching fights for the guys to beat each other. In fact, you should really not know who's going to win. I mean, that's how close it should be, ideally speaking. And if you got a fight match where you say so and so is going to kill him. Well, I mean, where's the entertainment in that, right?
Yeah.
So I know you have philosophy. You have some of the best matchups that I think I see on shows. I mean, you like Don Rogers. I see like Troy out in California. I mean, you guys are doing some fantastic. Lino over there in California doing some fantastic matchups. You can see it on paper, and then I'll go and look at the results at the end, and you can see that it was like not a knockout. It probably went the distance. It was a split
Yep.
decision or something like that. When you have a card where everybody's getting knocked out on your card, right? That might be a problem. That don't mean it can't happen, but it just might be a problem. How is this show again looking compared to the other shows you've had? I've heard that this show might be one of your biggest shows.
Yeah, right now, I accidentally have 19 fights. So
Accidentally.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, just the way it works. A lot of people are wanting to fight on the show. They're hungry. I haven't had a show since last August. Because we had the baby, and my dad was going through cancer treatment.
Oh,
So it
by the
was
way,
just a
how
lot
is your
going
dad?
on.
By the way, how is your
He's
dad? By the
great.
way,
He's cancer free. So he just turned
awesome.
70 just
All
the other day.
right. Love to hear that.
So
Love to
it's
hear
pretty cool. To say that. And but yeah, so it's just we had a long break and people are just itching at the bits to fight. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Well, we might have Trey on. I mean, if he is able to come and everything. But I want you to tell me a little bit about this guy. Tell me why you think he is special.
Yeah, I mean he's just a natural athlete. Growing up, played football, did track, did basketball. So he's naturally gifted, has that fast twitch, and it's like a natural power you can't teach. You either have it or you don't, right? And he definitely has it, and he hasn't had an easy life. That's one thing, about him that people can either be a woe is me type person and cry about it, or they can use it as leverage and motivation. One of my business coaches, he was an immigrant from one of the Soviet Union countries, and they moved here. They were eating out of trash cans, and he called it his
Wow.
immigrant edge. He never wanted to be broke, and he used that to push him. And now he's a multi big time millionaire, and he
Wow.
calls it his immigrant edge. And that's what Trey has. He has that. Grew up in East St. Louis. If you know anything about East St. Louis, it's one of the toughest cities in the country. And,
Right.
Murder's been around him his whole life. His brother 2 years ago got murdered while coming home from a concert in a drive-by.
Wow.
It's real out there. And, and that's what fuels him is to not go down that route, to set a good example for his son now. And it's just he uses that to fuel him, and that's I think it's very healthy for him as well.
Oh, very
And it's
good.
also
Very
very
good. Well,
dangerous for his opponents.
well, that's what I was going to ask and all. I mean, he sounds like he's maturing. How old is Trey now?
I think he's 32.
He's 32, right? So he seems like he's maturing and everything. Tell me a little bit about his opponent, Mr. Bland. He's
Yeah,
probably not
Gavilan Bland,
Bland.
he's been around. No, he is not playing. And I picked him for a reason. I wanted Trey. It's Trey's pro debut, and Trey's my fighter. There's no secret about that. I wanted him to have a good, tough fight. I don't want to give him these layups because there's some pro fighters out there that should not be pro fighters.
For sure.
I don't want that on my show. My show, it's high quality. If we go out there looking like street beefs, it's not gonna look good, right? And
Right.
if Trey is as bad as we say he is, he's 9-1, 8 knockouts, 7 in the first round.
Wow.
If he's bad as he says he is, he can prove it. And Gavlin, he's an MMA champion, for Cage of Honor, which is a really big production down in
Right.
Southern Missouri. He's a striker. He has Muay Thai training. And fighting someone that traditionally doesn't do everything the way you see it, like a Muay Thai, they kind of mix everything. It makes it a little harder to deal with because you're not used to seeing things. So certain things that work against someone that does Muay Thai might not work against him.
Right.
He's a strong guy, and it's also his pro debut at Muay Thai. Now he has 7 professional MMA fights, but yeah, so it's definitely not an easy welcoming to the pros for Trey.
So it's going to be a 5-round fight.
3 rounds.
Oh, it's a
Three
3-round
3-minute
fight.
rounds. Yep.
Okay, I was
Yep.
gonna, also you, by the way, were the first person in the history in this country, to the best of my knowledge, and I have a little bit of knowledge in the sport,
Yeah.
to ever host a 9-round full rule Muay Thai fight. And do you have any plans to maybe do that again in the future? I know that when we did about a couple of them, I know you got a little resistance from some of the trainers and stuff like that. Of course you would, because it's new and it's trailblazing. But what are your thoughts on that in the future?
I didn't have much issues with the trainers. It was more, and the state commission's been on board with it, but they've passed a new bill where if it goes over 3 hours, your fight, you have to pay so much more money, right?
Yeah.
So we would have like 2 or 3 of these 9-round fights, and we were adding just so much time to the cards. So it's something I do want to bring back, but it's something I want to bring back whenever we have bigger ticket sellers that can make it financially work. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and I'm not going to do this for free. I'm
Right.
taking a lot of time away from my business and my wife and kid. So once it starts to make sense again, I 100% want to bring it back.
Right. At least one fight, at least one 9-round
Yeah.
on there or something,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have to be a whole
But
card.
not when I have 18 other fights. It's hard.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I want to
We'll
ask
be
you a
there
little
till
bit.
2 a.m.
Right, for sure. You have I think I didn't upload the poster probably with that fourth man. You tell us a little bit about that 4-man
Yep.
tournament and how that's going to work.
This is going to be crazy. This is going to be like I've been calling it who's the baddest man in St. Louis, because
Oh,
they're all 4 from St. Louis. They're all big ass heavyweights. So
right.
this is legitimately like who's the baddest dude in St. Louis, and we're gonna find out. And I'm really excited. At the top, we have James Selzer. He's been around for a minute. He just came off of an ACL surgery. Just had another fight, just won. So he's really
Right.
hungry. And the bottom right is Tyler Lust. That dude is like 6'5",
Wow.
260 pounds, solid muscle. I call him Thor because he looks a lot like him. He's just huge. And when he hits you with that much weight and power, it's just
Right.
it's devastating. And then on the far left is Dante Sweeney. He fought, and all 3 of these guys so far have actually fought in our stand-up fight series as well.
Oh,
And Dante is the tallest. He's 6'7" or 6'8".
wow.
He's a huge dude, and he's really fast. So I did some interviews with him the other day, and he said, he thinks he's the top dog because he's the biggest and he's going to be the fastest.
Oh.
And then the last guy is
yeah.
the 4th guy is Keenan Carnes. So he's an MMA fighter, but he has a more of like a traditional like karate style. So it's going to be, shaking it up quite a bit. So we have all different styles. So like James at the top, he's more like Dutch kickboxing. Tyler on the bottom right, he's more Muay Thai. Dante on the left, he's a good mixture of like Muay Thai and MMA. And then Keenan's like the karate and MMA. So it's kind of,
Wow.
a battle of the styles, and I'm really excited. So they're going to fight early in the morning, and then not early in the morning, early in the fight night, and then come back later to fight for the belt.
So you're gonna have you're gonna pull names then.
Correct. Yeah,
Do
we're
they
going to do
not?
that
Do
next
they not?
Friday.
They don't know who's gonna fight who yet, right?
No, no, we're going to do that next Friday because I wanted to do it at weigh-ins, but the state
Okay.
wants to know ahead of time so they can have all their paperwork done.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah, yeah. But so they're gonna
yep, so,
pull names, but you don't know what the
yep,
final match is gonna be and who that's gonna be.
correct. Yep,
Right, right, right. Which is always kind of intriguing and interesting and exciting, and I
yep,
love that concept. The fact that you're going to be doing that. I mean, we've done something like that, like over here, and I mean, it's really exciting as long as everybody can stay safe
yep.
in it. These pros or amateurs,
This is amateur, and so I talked to the state commission too. So I said, "Hey, what if what if the winner gets injured?
right?
Can the loser take his place?" And they said, "Yes, he can." So they said it's up to me, to make that decision.
I,
'Cause
I will tell you something that we've done. Here's the strategy. I'll give it away to the rest of the world. All right, Johnny Davis 101. Right? Was that what we would do often? We would have in amateurs, we would have the first fight have headgear on. They would have on gear.
Mhm.
And then the second fight would be without gear. And that kind of preserves those guys because it's so easy to get cut or whatever in that first fight. Something you just might want to think about and everything like that because,
Yep,
the second fight is the real fight. That's going to determine because I
yep,
think they're going to get a belt or something like that.
yep,
That's a stand-up series type thing, right?
yep.
Promotional title that you're doing.
Correct.
And that's one way to kind of preserve that last fight, if that makes sense. I just thought I would throw that out there and
Yeah.
everything. Maybe
Yep.
does that make sense?
And then we are also yep, and then we're also doing an overtime round. So, for instance, if one of the fights go to a draw, they go to that fourth round overtime, and those are, I mean, they're so exciting.
Chad,
Anytime you go to an overtime fourth round, I mean, come on.
I just don't even understand why you would ever have a tie, right? I just don't believe in a tie. And I
Exactly.
think that, wait a minute, people are coming here to see a winner. They're not coming. It's always, in my opinion, if I have something to do with it, which I do in some of these cases, I want an overtime round. Obviously, you're under the commission over there, but I want an overtime. I want to know. I want a winner at the end of the day. Walking away saying I had a draw. Why? Just leave the gloves on. So you think it's close? Leave the gloves on. Fight another round. We have a winner, right? And also, what I think that is absolutely fantastic that you are doing that. I wanted to ask you too about. Again, I just pulled a couple of the flyers. I saw that you have. Let's talk about Nelson and Davis for a moment. Tell me about those guys.
Yeah, Luke Nelson, man, it's he's a man on a mission right now. So he's 39, and he was a pro MMA fighter, and he didn't like MMA. He only did it because there wasn't any Muay Thai around.
Mm,
So he's been out to Thailand. He's trained out there. He loves Muay Thai, and once I opened up my gym out here, he saw that, and then came off the couch, started training for 8 weeks, and took a fight.
oh wow!
And so his first pro debut, that was only like, I would say, 3-4 months training after not
Wow!
training for a minute. And he came out there and put on a great performance, and then he went again and fought. And right now, I mean, he is so sharp. He's been locked in for a while now, and he was better at the start of this camp than he was at the end of his first fight. So he's
All
just
right.
super
Oh,
sharp.
nice.
So I'm really excited for him to really get to show what he can do because his first two fights, it was still just kind of knocking that dust off the cobwebs, and
Right.
he's really found his stride. So I'm just he hits hard, man. He hits really hard and
Now, which one is
really
that? Now, is
quick.
that now is the who's this, the Samoan looking guy? I say
Yeah,
Samoan look.
that's Luke. Yep, that's Nelson there.
Oh, that's Nelson. Okay, okay,
Yep.
all
So
right.
he's a former Marine, and he was in the invasion of Fallujah. So if you know anything about the military in
Wow,
Fallujah, that was like a really hot spot. So he was kicking indoors. He's
wow.
no fear in that guy, and just a strong, tough dude that's ready to go.
Right,
And then Leroy Davis, he is like he's also an MMA champion in that same promotion that Gavelin came from,
right.
and he is just so exciting. Like he'll do like flying jump kicks and,
Oh,
and just stuff you don't see a lot, so it's hard to like train for, And a really dynamic striker, strong. This is his pro debut as well,
mm.
so he's really hungry and looking, put on a performance.
Oh wow, wow! I mean, well, that looks like that's going to be a great match. Your whole
Yeah,
card is looking pretty stacked, Chad. I mean, you've done a
yeah.
fantastic job, but I also noticed that you have some ladies on the show as well. And I don't know how many lady fights you might have. Tell me a little bit about this fight. Was that Brayton and Labie?
Yeah, so
Is
this
that
one's
Gabby Labie?
it is. Yep.
I've
So
heard
she's
that name
IKF
before.
world
Tell me
champion.
how do I know her?
So she's won the IKF World Classic a few times.
Ah,
Yep.
ah.
Yep.
And it just came to
Yeah.
me. I never thought about
Yeah.
it before now. Wow.
Yep.
Tell me about that
Yeah.
fight.
So she's with Tom Whitaker and the church. So she kind of trains at both gyms, and she had, I can't remember off the top of my head, like 15 to 20 fights as a junior, and then she stepped
Mm.
away from the sport for I don't want to get it wrong, but maybe over 10 years. So
Wow.
she was away for a minute, then just came back recently, and she's had about 3 or 4 fights now, as an adult, and is starting to really find her stride again. So it's tough to get her matched up because she has a big record,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she hasn't fought in a long time, so she had a long break in there. But she's down to fight anyone, and she's a promoter's dream, like, hey, you want to fight her? Yep, I'm
Yeah.
down. Like she'll
Well,
fight anyone.
I tell you, we had a situation like that happen at our East Coast Classics. A young lady who had, quite a few fights over in Thailand. But she said she never got paid or anything like that. And this other girl found out about only other girl only had about 2 or 3 fights, right? And so there was a little debate going on and stuff. I did a little background, a little research. I was comfortable with the fact that that she was at amateur level. I mean, she went out there, she did okay, but ooh, she got it handed to her. The one that had the experience in Thailand, she got it handed to her. I hate to say that respectfully. She's probably gonna punch me in the face next time she sees me. But I'm just saying. So sometimes that rust is real, right? And just to have that. What about Brayton? Who is she?
Yeah, so Lacey, so she also had a couple fights as a junior. Stepped away from the sport for a little while, then came back, and then she fought on 2 of my fights ago. Beat a really tough girl from Nebraska. Nebraska put on a really good performance,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just been really getting after it the last couple of years. And her coach really wanted that fight. He was like, "We're down. Like we don't care about the record difference.
Nice.
She's down to fight. She's game. I trust her ability." And she showed a really strong performance in my last card. So I'm really excited, for this fight. It's the women's fights, they always deliver. I've
Yeah.
never had a women's fight on my card and like it was boring. My
Right.
wife loves them. Sometimes, and it's hard, to get women's fights. There's
Oh
not
yeah.
a lot of female fighters around, and it's tough. And my wife always, why don't you get more? I'm like, I'm trying, but so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build up the women's program here. Lily Helton, our USA
Yes.
USA IKF champion.
Yes.
She hosts a women's only sparring at my gyms. Once or twice a month. They kind of bring together and kind of grow the community there.
Right.
I've been doing a
She
lot
also
more
has a
marketing.
she also has a business too, right, Chad?
Yeah. So Sweeps and Teeps. So she has a
Yes.
gear company it sells to everyone, but it's specifically a little bit more towards women.
Yeah, towards
And
women. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
want to give
so
her a shout out.
yeah, no, yeah, she's awesome.
I like her. She's always nice, always respectful and everything. And she and her wife Elizabeth, they're good people, and I like good people. They fight for a lot of organizations, but I like good people. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
They've done a great job. Tell me, give me
So
a couple other. Yeah, go ahead.
well, something that came up today on my memories on Facebook and Instagram was a quote from Jean Eves Terrio from your
Johnny,
show that I took.
Johnny Dario.
Johnny,
Yes.
yes. Um, and I took it from your show when you had them on there, and just talking about Lily and Liz, it reminded me of this because this kind of embodies them. But he said, "There's no substitute for hard work. The winner will do what the others don't want to do every day, hard work, consistently.
Wow. You know that right there, actually, you don't understand. That warmed my heart, right? Because I know Johnny personally, right? And he and I
Yeah.
trained together. And when I had him on
And
my
real
show,
quick,
he's like,
Johnny, real quick, if you don't know who Johnny Stereo is, look him up. Absolute monster in kickboxing, fighting in sold out arenas.
oh yeah,
You can learn a lot from watching him fight, and I know you learned a lot from sparring with him,
oh,
and he really took you
totally.
under his wing. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, yeah, great guy, and all, and somewhat of a philosopher, right? And again, you that quote that he made was something vital. And again, now you just proved why I do my show, right? Because that has been years ago when he was on my show, literally. And you took that quote and it's something to live by. I had a quote that I learned there from a trainer, Guy, who rest in peace, who was Johnny's trainer, that told me, he said, Johnny, there is no substitute for hard work. And as a young man, who was at the time right on the edge of becoming a world champion, I was hungry. I was around 21 years old. He told me that there is no substitute for hard work. I went back and I took a marker and I had a jump rope, a piece of plywood that I used to jump rope on, and I wrote, "There is no substitute for hard work" on that board. I'm sure there's a picture probably somewhere, and I would be killing myself, you know, and looking at that quote. So those type of philosophies and those things can give you something that you can carry for life and make you so much better as a human being and certainly as a fighter as well. Tell me about someone else who you have on the show. I know you can probably do your whole card, but a particular fight that you have matched that might stand out as we wind down.
one more time. Sorry, it broke up there a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about a fight that maybe another fight or two that you have on the card that you might be excited about as we begin to wind down.
Yeah, well, there's so many.
I
Top of the
know.
head. There's Ty Prackett. He's always exciting to watch. The kid is
Right.
just, he's got everything you want. He's flashy. He's technical. He's never a dull moment when he fights. And he's fighting one of Chris Lee's fighters from the
Uh,
Fight Lab out in Fort Wayne. So
oh,
got a little IKF promoter versus promoter fight
yeah.
here. But his guys, undefeated. IKF Midwest champion, and Ty, he's special. So I'm really excited to see him fight, and he's even almost fighting out his weight class. So that's even better. So
Oh, right. Right, right.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah, because he really should be fighting about 115 pounds. And if we were in Thailand and like really trying to push him up in the pro ranks, that's what would be at. And he's been fighting at 125 out here in St. Louis just because it's so hard to find that weight class.
Right, right. Chad, what goals do you have for the sport as a whole? What would you like to see happen to the sport as a whole?
Well, I think we're already starting to hit the very early years of the golden years of Muay Thai and kickboxing in the USA. And my proof of that is I see a lot of gyms being really busy that
Yes, very much.
have terrible marketing and a terrible product, and
Right,
it's busy. So that means people are looking it up. They're finding the gyms, and I think we're in a very early age of the golden era.
right,
I think it's going to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because we're always a little bit slower over here in the Midwest and in America.
right,
Over in Thailand and Europe, I mean, Muay Thai has been huge for a minute. So I think
right,
we're about to see a really big jump. So I'm excited to be promoting during this because I want to bring in big name fighters. I want to bring in something that draws a lot of attention.
right,
The names of like Liam Harrison, but like he's about to retire, but so that's not going to happen. But a type of fighter that name that I can
sure.
bring that kind of help push that in this area too. Yeah.
I think you're going to do that, and I think the quality of your shows is worthy of having some big names like that and stuff. Like, if anybody can do it, you'll certainly be one of those people in the top. I know that if I have anything to do with it, I would certainly you'll be one of the top people on my list to try to bring something like that. And the fact that you're saying that it is growing, you are correct that it is growing and it is getting bigger. Like, there's a seminar going on here on Sunday in this area. Mr. J.T. Smith is putting it on with Taiwan Chai, I think is something like that, the guy.
Yep.
And I mean, he's packed, oversold out at his gym. Really, the seminars have been going that way for quite a few years. And this way, you do the seminars as well, and they pretty much sell out and all that. And I think that is a sign, right, that we are moving in the right direction. What are your thoughts about One Championship and perhaps what they brought to the table?
I like it in the fact that it's entertainment Muay Thai. But I also, as a purist, I love traditional Muay Thai as well. But I like watching them. I'll watch the fights. I wish they would let them clinch a little bit longer. But what? If they're paying them good money to fight in those little gloves, awesome. You know, be my guest. I don't want Muay Thai to lose its beauty. And that's kind of what's happening with the little gloves. But that's me as a purist,
Sure. I get it. Right. And one of my best guys.
Something Sylvie Von Douglas.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll say something Sylvie Von Douglas said. So she's a fighter out of New Jersey that's lived in Thailand for over 10 years, and she's trying to break the record for the most amount of Muay Thai fights. And she's at like 270 or 280 or something fights right now. And she said she was at a museum in Italy, and they had all these beautiful sculptures carved out of marble. And it was just absolute beautiful. And then it went to the Bronze Age. And there's all these stuff out of bronze. And she said, now to find someone to make that in marble, you can't anymore because the art of that being made has been lost. And that's what she's afraid about Muay Thai is the art that made it so beautiful and the skills with the bigger gloves is going to be lost in the future because now it's just about damage and hitting someone as hard as you can and kind of getting maybe not a lucky, but you're not seeing who maybe the better fighter is because someone can land one shot and change everything. So kind of like what you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. And obviously, I have some philosophies and thoughts about that part of it because it is entertainment Muay Thai. But in the business of it, and you as a promoter, what's going to put those butts in the seats is going to be the entertainment Muay Thai. The traditional Muay Thai, and as a businessman, as businessmen, we have to keep our eyes on that too. The tradition is always going to be there, right? And all it's like karate, and then you got karate combat. Well, karate combat, people are kind of liking karate combat. Karate combat, in my opinion, seems like they're doing pretty good. That might have been something I would have done. To be honest with you. But you still have the karate tournaments every weekend. You still have the traditional karate schools that are doing very, very well.
Yeah.
I think traditional Muay Thai is always going to be a place for it and all. But I think what we need actually is the entertainment Muay Thai. And that's what I call it as well, entertainment Muay Thai, because I think because of the appetite of the American period, the fight appetite of the American likes that more blood and guts and all of that, but based on what UFC has done, what MMA has done in this country, so they like that and all, and so that is what put butts in seats. And I'd be honest, I think that the owner of One, pretty creative. I think he's doing it the right way, in my personal opinion, but not looking over what you're saying about the tradition. Why don't you tell us how we can get tickets and how we can watch that great show on May 3rd in St. Charles, Missouri, on pay-per-view?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the fastest selling shows I've had. So I'm expecting, a sellout, for at least the reserved seats. Probably within another, week and a half or 2 weeks. So definitely, if you're wanting to come out, get your tickets now. It's at standupfightseries.com. There's also a link to the pay-per-view on there, but the pay-per-view is hosted by AKP Live. We're going to have Derek Reams here again.
Hey, I know that guy.
Yep,
What do you
yep.
think? What do you think about Derek Reams, Chad? Come on
Man,
now.
he is so fun, and he does such a good job. He's a big WWE fan, right?
Yeah.
And you can just tell by the way he announces, and he just makes the fight so fun to watch, and brings it to life. And he's just such a good person
Oh man,
at the
all
same time.
all the time, all the time. Derek Reams is the man. If he can't do it, then nobody can. I just thought I would make a rhyme there, so people they can get tickets on the stand up fights. Was it stand? What is it called? Was it standup.com?
There's standupfs.com, or you can go to
Yes.
standupfightseries.com. Yep.
Right, and the pay-per-view links and all of that stuff is certainly on that site as well, and
Yep.
it will be on the live streaming there. That link will go right to the akplive.com. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. One of these days, I'm going to sneak back in. One of these days, I'm just going to sneak back in and check it. I love your shows and everything, but I'm getting wide open. I'm changing gears just a little bit in how I do business because, like, just this past 2 weeks, I've opened up like 3 other states, right? For us to go into and to host our events and things like that. So I'm getting wide open, and I'm a lot more productive when I'm behind my computer and on the phone than sometimes being at the event. Even though this weekend I have to do a double header myself and stuff like that, but I am getting more people, getting more people in place, kind of resetting a couple of things across the country. Final word to you, Chad. What would you like to say to the fight community and about the support for your events?
Yeah, just these shows, they're not easy on anyone. The fighters, the promoters, the coaches, the staff, the officials. If you've never been to a fight, if you're thinking about going or whatever, go to fights. Go support your local promotions. Come watch these guys fight. They put everything they have in these shows. If you can't watch it, watch the pay-per-view. It means so much, not just to me, but to the fighters. Knowing that, like, hey man, I bought your pay-per-view, or hey, I'm watching you, and just keep pushing. We got a lot of talent here in America. We're seeing Ace of Ten Pow just had a good performance.
Yes.
Eddie's probably getting ready to go fight again.
Yep.
Luke Leslie. So we're getting a lot of names out there. So get out here and watch these guys before they make it to the big leagues, and eventually, hopefully, maybe we can become the big leagues.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's just come out, support these local fighters, and watch some entertaining shows.
Well, Chad, I mean, listen, you're phenomenal. You're a great guy, honorable person, a great dad, great husband, great promoter, great trainer. I can put great, great, great. I've been knowing you. We've been working together 5, 6, whatever
Six
years. How
years,
many
yeah.
years it's been? And you've always just kept your word, and we kept moving forward. And you're doing a great job. So I'm so honored to have you a part of the ICAF organization, and all. And looking for many, many more things to come in the future, sir.
Yes, sir. There will be.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the one and the only Chad, the Knockout Mueller. All right, man. Talk to you later. Thanks so much, Chad.
See you, Johnny. Thanks.
All right. Okay, guys, you just heard it. There yourself for Mr. Chad Mueller. Great guy doing a great job over there in St. Louis and St. Charles area. I tell you, if you ever really want to go and see a great fight, a great show, well organized lights, camera, music, and so much more, you want to definitely check out Mr. Chad Mueller's show over there in St. Charles. Does a fantastic job. All right, I have a couple more pieces of things here. So before I get on the road here, I have a long weekend myself. Again, just want to remind everybody about the Save the Date ICAF Fall Classic. Is going to be October 3rd and 4th at the Sheridan. That is coming up, guys. And so we'll start registration here not too long from now. So put that on your calendar. Come out. It's a pretty good event. I think you'll like the way we do it, the format of it. Again, the Sheridan is a really, really nice hotel. And I think that you are going to enjoy the format with all the different rule styles and things like that that we have for you. The ICAF Fall Classic in October, save the date. It's going to be a lot of fun. a lot of good fights for you. You know, we do it like in a fight night type environment, and something that, again, I think that you can come out, bring your family to, family for the most part, and have a great time. As I mentioned, also registration is going on for the IKF World Classic. That's going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, guys, at the Westgate Casino. You know, come out and check that out. Just want to remind you again about the beautiful championship belts that we award to the fighters. In my opinion, the best belts in the industry. These are amateurs, right? This is an amateur belt. Best belts in the industry and everything. Get registered. IKF Fight Platform.com. Ms. Tony Fossum, our CEO there, in honor of Mr. Steve Fossum. It is a great event. Mr. Steve Fossum, as I said, put in a lot of hard work over the years. That tournament is going into like 25, 26, 27 years or something like that now. And I'm honored to continue to work with them to help make that event, you know, a great event for everybody to come out and enjoy. That's going to be July 18th through the 20th at the Westgate Casino, and that's in Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, we have a lot going on right now, too, with the PBSC. I just want to remind everybody with the PBSC, if you're interested in becoming an affiliate and doing the PBSC Point Boxing Sparring Circuit, you can contact Mr. Rafael Mendoza there, or go to the pointboxing.com website where all the information is there. I'm telling you, it is changing the face of boxing. It is the great thing for the sport of boxing. It is semi-contact. It's not done on the ring. It's done on the mat. There are no knockouts allowed and all. And we're having a ton of events right now, and we're going to a lot more that's coming on. But if you have a gym and you have boxers and you want them who are not perhaps thinking about even fighting in the ring one day, or if they are, if they want to better their skills or whatever, you should look at joining the PBSC Point Boxing Sparring Circuit. We're starting to do a large campaign across the country right now. We're going to be in every state. We're going to be we're already the largest semi-contact boxing organization in the country, and we are poised to be the largest organization, period, when it comes to semi-contact boxing in the world. Bet on it, right? So we ask for your support now. Come and check it out. Pointboxing.com. It is there for you. It is a great event. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I always want to thank everybody for watching yet another edition of Johnny Davis Live. We want you to always respect each other, because in this time and in this day, we need respect. Respect is greater than love. That is what I believe. Now, some people might not believe that, but I believe respect is greater than love, because you cannot get to love without respect. That's all I have for you guys. Anyway, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your weekend. Everybody be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Johnny Davis Live. Check it out.